quite a few players on the hill out there, so we should have a number of other winners to tell you about in the next few minutes. If you're not familiar with pool terminology, on the hill means you need one more rack to clinch the match. And Jeremy, you look at this, it's a really horrible first round draw for both players, isn't it?
Yeah, Ko Ping-yi, a former champion, James Aranas, who hasn't been on the international scene as much the last 12 to 18 months, but certainly a player that Ko Ping-yi knows and won't take for granted. Very talented player, James Aranas.
James Aranas, 30 years of age. Reached that milestone last April. And he's going to start us off in this race tonight.
A couple kisses on the cue ball. Sorry, Michael.
I was just going to say, look at the cue ball potentially in the side. Kicked by the 8.
Yeah, and I think, you know, as the match goes, that will be the one thing that maybe James questions and gets away from, because he hasn't had the time and match time. You can practice this all you want, right? The cut break, but until you get in the match is when you're going to determine whether you like it or not, or if you stick to it. Awkward shot here, even though he's got a nice shot on cueing a little awkwardly over the side. Yeah, nice shot there. He wants to get off the rail with a cue ball. And I'll tell you, there were so many great things about 2022. It was easy to overlook the year that this man had. Ko Ping-yi didn't hoist the biggest of titles, but it seems like he was right in there for many. If you know pool and just watch the game itself, you know, he's gotten back in form after, you know, the Chinese Taipei players, right? Had to take some time off with the pandemic.
Yeah, as you say, he didn't win the very biggest titles last year, but one event he did win was the Asian Open in Singapore, and he actually beat Aranas in the final of that. And that was an event which was, in a sense, building up to this year, when that is going to be a full-scale matchroom event coming up later in the year.
Yeah, Singapore, a country that's growing in the sport. Aloysius Yap, of course, kind of put it back on the map. Really, Ko Ping-yi really similar to like an Albin Ocean, really has it all. Great stroke, great fundamentals, very athletic, but also a great tactician through the racks, playing percentage pool. Or if he just pinches this back a couple of inches here, the 7 near, I wouldn't want to try and get too froggy with this shot. He got over. I don't know if he got over enough. This is going to be awkward getting on the 6. Looks like he may have to go forward with the cue ball here. You can see him cueing a hair of left English. And now he's going to entertain, what if I just stopped the ball here and took a cut shot on the 6? I think he still goes forward. Well, maybe not. If you want to watch, I think, one of the best transitions in the game, the stroke back and through, Ko Ping-yi is definitely one to watch.
So what do you mean by that, Jeremy? What is it about the way he approaches that you think is so good?
Well, in every sport, they're always trying to connect what, you know, with the swing coming back to turning the other direction and heading forward. In golf, they talk about it, tennis, baseball, everything. But just his flow is so nice. You hardly ever see a jerk in the swing, even when tension is high. Of course, that comes with all the reps.
It's only the first rack you've done, and you've already managed to get in both of your other big sporting passions.
Yeah, right.
Setting the tone for the week. Copenhagen will be hoping he's setting the tone for this match right here. A couple of little tests along the way.
Yeah, every shot is, not saying they've been difficult, but every one of them's been awkward a little bit. Like right there, obviously not difficult to pocket the ball, but to get the line on the cue ball you wanted.
So Aranas narrowly avoided the scratch off the break, did leave the one. It was an awkward shot.
Copenhagen wins the rack.
Indeed, it was an awkward run out from there, but Copenhagen has done the business and leads 1-0. He's the oldest of the three Ko brothers. They're all in action today, and Ko Ping Chung is already through. Comfortable win, 9-1 over Michael Gavenciak of the Czech Republic. Ko Ping Han will be in action this afternoon against Poland's own Thomas Kaplan.
Yeah, with a little luck, Ko Ping Chung could have been a finalist in that U.S. Open last year. Lost a tough one to Max Lechner, I believe it was.
Yeah, Lechner, who went on to lose the final to Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, who we heard from a little earlier after his comfortable win in the first round today.
And another thing you can watch with Ko Ping is, even though nerves are high, and of course, you know, a world title at hand, he doesn't really change much at all. His pace around the table is still the same. And I think that's something you should pay attention to if you're playing out there. Of course, these pros, but I did some commentary on the Al Youssef match, and it's still going with Chua. But it seemed Al Youssef was pressing every shot, like worried about a decision. And then it really led to missing some balls, I think. And he got the one down in the side, not much angle on the two with the cue ball near the rail. So we'll see, this overhead will tell us a lot. I don't know if he can really move the cue ball much here, Michael. We may see a tough 3-5 combination after this two ball's made.
Yeah, for people not familiar with the game, what you're referring to there in terms of combinations, you've always got to strike the lowest value ball on the table first. But so long as you do that, any pot is legal. So if after potting this 2, Ko plays the 3 onto the 5, the 5 goes in, and that's a legal pot, and he would then stay at the table.
Yeah, and that rings true for the yellow and black 9-ball right there in the middle. Make a legal hit on any of the lowest numbered balls, pocket the 9, you've won the game. You can see him taking a lot of time here, and he will do that when he needs. Now look at this, he's going to play the 2 off the 8 so he can run the cue ball and avoid that long distance combination we were talking about, Michael. So he's going to take a little risk here. And interesting to see if he goes forward with the cue ball. If he goes forward with the cue ball, he's got to worry about contacting the 8 with the cue ball, because the 8's going to be moving. Watch out for a collision on the 8 ball. Oh, he missed it. And the funny thing is, he didn't even get the shape on the 3, so he was going to play the combination anyways and took a big chance trying to play the 2 off the 8.
Yeah, nice idea, but didn't work out, and so Aranas gets his first chance to make an impact on this match.
And that final you were talking about in Singapore, I'm sure that's not the first time these two have played. This is another tricky shot. Cue ball could get into the pink 4 here. And that's what he's feeling right now. He's feeling with a high ball, this ball may not grab how I want. Go towards the pink 4 and the 9. Now he's going to draw it now to stay clear. He's going to love this.
Yeah, beat Naoki Oi in the semi-final to reach that Asian Open final, and pushed Ko Ping hard before going down 13-11. From Philippines. Spent much of his time in recent years based in Gainesville in Virginia.
Okay, he just wants to gain a little angle coming across. That's perfect.
Just news of Imran Majid, British veteran, still rolling after all these years, and a fine win has been completed over Marco Teutjer of the Netherlands by 9 racks to 4. Johan Chua has now beaten Abdullah Al Yusuf 9-5. Al Yusuf, who was a semi-finalist in this championship last year.
The one I saw, I think at the top, is it Mario He down 8-7 the first round here?
Yeah, Mario He's been struggling. To him in a moment, but I can tell you news of another hill finish. Petri Mäkinen of Finland seeing off Elliot Sanderson. So no shouting from that one. No, Sanderson was first to the hill in that.
Yeah, a guy who also has done a lot of traveling. He was at the Derby City Classic this past week in America. Actually, probably the last 2 weeks.
Just as Aranas looks to tie things up here, an update on Mario He. 8-7 down now against Sebastian Bakovsky.
Another beautiful setup here by Matchroom for this World Pool Championships.
Yeah, wonderful buzz as the championship comes to Poland. Kopenier did the business very nicely in the opening rack, but Aranas has shown what he's got. And very swiftly, they're level at 1 apiece. Max Lechner is through to the next round. He's just completed a 9-5 win over Max Eberle. Let's have a look elsewhere. Well, that's... This is the action from one of the outside tables. Mariusz Koneczny getting through 9-7 against Dominik Jastrab in an all-Polish clash. And this is that Ronald Regley win that I was talking about earlier.
And Ronald, a very dangerous player, I think, as he grows and with match wins. Very talented player, I think. Great stroke.
Recently has had many successes in the
Johan Chua with a win over Abdullah Al Yusuf.
Yeah, just a reminder, winners in this round need 1 more win to get through to the single elimination last 64 stage. If you lose in this round, then you need to find 2 wins on the loser's side. Back to the main table.
Yeah, nice break off as far as making the one. Caught the cue ball a little thin on the one, so it fell below the rack, and now a rollout situation, which is never easy. If you're new to Nineball, after the break, you have 1 opportunity to roll the cue ball anywhere you want. You have to announce push out, of course, or roll out, we call it. And then your incoming opponent has the choice to either take the shot or pass it back.
So, your choice.
He's left the top side of the 2 here, so I doubt Kopenier passes here. I know it's only 1 ball to get behind, that being the 3, but you got to figure he's going to attempt it.
And you were explaining the push-out rule to anyone who might be new to the game, and anyone who then follows the championship over the next few days will see all kinds of different psychologies at play in the decisions that are made, both in terms of players taking that option and then the incoming player deciding to either play it or pass it back.
That's a fascinating part of the game because it's looked at differently from player to player. It's almost like any game, you want to lengthen it, right? So you'll see guys tie balls up trying to keep the run out from not really an option. then you have guys like SVB, Shane Van Boning, who roll out as tough as they can, and they just bet they can perform better than their opponent. Not a hard kick here, not a hard jump either. Now making it, that's another story. If you're comfortable kicking at the ball, I think it lends a little more towards the safety, but I think he's going to attack and try and pocket it, this too, in the lower left. He wanted to make it, but possibly get a snooker otherwise. He's going to make Ko Ping Yi come with a very nice shot here to start the run. Rack number 3.
Eight years now since Ko Ping Yi won this championship. His stellar year of 2015. Highlight was beating Shane Van Boning in a close final in Doha, 13-11. First of 3 times Van Boning has been in the final so far. Last year, his first win.
And he's stuck on the fence here. To draw it, maybe roll forward. I think that's the shot. Make the pocket a little bigger. He's overcut that by some piece. May go all year and not see Ko Ping Yi miss one by that much, Michael.
It was a huge margin.
And he never seemed settled, right?
It's only ever after you've played a bad shot that you would come back to your chair and knock your case over like that.
Well, any underdog, which if you looked at the matchups just here in round 1 would tell you how many great players aren't seeded, right? That's just how pro sports is these days. But any underdog, it's all about the start if you're going to pull off an upset.
Yeah, for sure, and stay in touch and also show the other guy what you've got in terms of what a good player you are. We've been talking a lot over the last 2 months about the new world rankings, and points have been accumulating since the start of 22. They'll continue to build up throughout this year, and it'll be from next year players will start to lose points. So we're still moving towards the first full 2-year ranking list, which we'll have at the end of this year. You look at Aranas, who started 2023, number 78 in the rankings, and there are a lot of players you would look at and say, I wouldn't mind betting by the time they've had 2 full years they'll be a lot higher than that, and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah, especially because, you know, he's still young, still trying to improve his game. That's only going to happen the more he's out here with the best, where he really needs to be. Just like the rankings will unfold better and better as the years go. I think everything will. The scheduling, everything included. What is it, 30 ranking events this year?
Yeah, and the way things have been going, always the possibility you'll see other ones added.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, where you would fit them in, I'm not sure, because it's an absolutely incredible schedule. You think how far we've come, even in the space of the last couple of years. So much to look forward to, and World Championship right at the start of it.
Well, the game's 9-ball, and now that things are in order, everyone recognizes it, and it's bringing the best players together, and that's what we all want. There's the extension here. Won't try to get too handy on the 9, just keep it simple.
It's a bit of a wild miss from Ko Ping Yi that gave James Aranas this chance. From there, he's gone on to lead for the first time in the match, 2-1 in the early stages. Back here on the main table, James Aranas leading 2-1 against Ko Ping Yi.
Very good break shot there. Exactly how you write it up. Coming back into the 9 with the cue ball. And a nice shot on the 2 to get started here in game 4. Now James, I know him pretty well from him staying so much in the States for a few years. And he'll be the first to tell you that, you know, he deals with some nerves. And but he's always prepared. So once you kind of get through that during a tournament, that usually happens as more balls go down. He becomes a very dangerous player.
Keeping an eye on table 14, a hill finish there now between Fabio Petroni and Kunlin Wu. Winner of that plays Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, the US Open champion, in the next round.
You can see a possible 5-9 later in the rack. That is no gimme. Little off angle, the 9 and good 2 diamonds up. So he'd rather track the cue ball for position on the 5 if possible. That's not going to be easy. Very dangerous to slide between the 6-7 here. May just draw above the 7 towards the 4 like that. Smart shot. Now these combinations, they don't mind them if they can get somewhat close to him with the cue ball, but otherwise you may see him track the cue ball down for maybe a short side position on the purple 5. Do it with a high ball, maybe. He's cueing low, so he's going to come back for the combination. Probably pretty smart. Take the guaranteed play, even though it's not easy. He is a favorite. I like him shooting this a little bit, Michael. Not rolling it too. Ooh, he's looking at the safety. He's got to shoot at this combination. Not something you're in love with, but it's all in your hands at least.
I think he's in about 4 minds about this shot.
Again, James will take a little time settling himself, but I like his chances.
Yeah, had to play the combination, and he played it to perfection. That's 3 in a row now. First rack in which we've seen anyone run out from the break. 3-1, James Aranas. Do you think maybe if he wasn't dealing with the pressure of playing on the main table, he wouldn't have thought twice about playing that combination, just would have been straight down for it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think so. But he's shows pretty good respect for the game itself and understands how important one mistake can be in this winter break format. And I don't think it was the combination himself, really just settling himself, period. Whether it had been, maybe the 9-ball straight in, who knows.
So 3-1 to James Aranas. As we've said, they met in the Asian Open final, won by Ko last year. Chris Melling, great to see him, Q Sports all-rounder against Dong Kwok Hwang. And he's won the opening rack. Not sure why he's shaking his head.
You never know with the players. Maybe he got fortunate in that game to win it. Who knows? But he's got a tough player on his hands from Vietnam. Now, the kiss shot on the 2 early got James to the table. That miss from Ko, but the last miss by some mark, that was a little concerning. Watch out, cue ball. Wow, this is unlucky. Really hit the break shot nice, and that's the good thing about the break, even though it is feels bad if it happens to you, is it's never guaranteed.
Ball in hand.
Yeah, Chris Melling, who we saw winning that opening rack against Dong Kwok Hwang, one of 6 British players in the field. Jason Shaw, of course, very much at the forefront of that, someone who would be regarded as among the favourites for this title.
Trying to think of the 6th. I think I can name 5. That's Chris Alexander, of course, Melling, Shaw,
Elliot Sanderson,
and so Shaw, right? Yeah. Oh, Elliot, yeah, Sanderson. Now, does he try to move the purple at all for later in the rack, or the 8 itself? Just maybe shave the purple as he goes by? Probably not, but a little dangerous doing so.
Ko Pin-Yi, 33 years of age now and currently at number 10 in the world rankings. Beat some very good players to win this championship back in 15. Carlo Biado, John Morra, Wu Chia-Ching, the 2005 champion, in a hill finish in the semis before seeing off Shane Van Boening, but didn't get very far in his title defense the following year, beaten in the last 64 by the Scot, who I mentioned just a few minutes ago, Jason Shaw.
Yeah, this is a title that Shaw has eluded Shaw and really hasn't made the noise in the tournament that you would think any of the years, really.
Yeah, and you would have to say, if you can win the US Open, as he did, you can win this for sure.
Oh, absolutely. You know, had a bit of a dry year last year in some big events, but then caught him a title at the end of the year, the International, and started off this year with another win at Turning Stone.
I think they should just give him the trophy there when the week starts. He owns that event.
Yeah, I think that'll change, though, if it continues to be a ranking event. I think you're going to see that event toughen up. Not saying it's not a nice win and all, but okay. I think he keeps it simple here, just a little high English, maybe a hair of inside left check. Little off angle again, so he's got to work. Now making sure the 9 plays easily on the side, just in case he takes a little more distance on the 7.
Lots happened in these first 5 racks. What happened in this rack was Aranas looking to make it 4 in a row, scratching off the break, and looks as though it's going to cost him.
Yeah, very unlucky scratch. Part of it, you're going to see plenty of them this week with the cut break being the most dominant play. You're also going to see some golden breaks because of that, with the cue ball coming across.
And after losing the last 3 racks, Ko Pin-Yi has won that one, and he's only one behind at 3-2. Still no result from table 14, that hill finish between Fabio Petroni and Wu Kunlin. And one match we should really be keeping an eye on is Karol Skaversky, who won the World Masters here in Kielce 11 years ago against Abdullah Al-Anzi, because the winner of that plays the winner of this. And Skaversky is leading 3-1 at the moment. He's really re-emerged over the last 12 months or so. Shane Wolford, someone you've got a lot of interest in, Jeremy, with your Mosconi Cup connections, as he looks to finally try to break into the team. He's playing just across from us here, and he's 5-2 up on Pia Filler.
Yeah, and a match he can't overlook. That's for sure. Pia can put some racks together. She hangs out with a pretty good player also. So yeah, Shane interested, of course. He had a long derby, and interested to see how some of those guys coming across after such a taxing event, how they play early.
Well, Van Boening was due to play in the opening match, but because the Derby City Classic just overran so much, a sensible decision, I think, was taken to move his match to later in the day, and we'll see him start his title defense against Masato Yoshioka of Japan this evening. The man who beat him in the final 8 years ago is breaking at 3-2 down.
very similar break. Not quite as much speed as Aranas. Very nice spread, though, with the cue ball tracking off the middle diamond back underneath the 9. You can see the draw kind of take effect a little late there. So he's going to kind of nip draw the cue ball over between the 3 and the 4. The red 3 in the lower left. Type of shot where the pocket plays a little bigger. Doesn't have to be hit perfectly because it should be at relatively light speed. Wow, he hit that with a lot of confidence. He went ahead and went into the pink 4. Maybe not to have no worries getting kind of elevated over it.
Nick Vandenberg is part of the Netherlands team, which was beaten in consecutive World Cup finals almost a decade ago. Has come through 9-7 against Si Chia Chen, Ko Pin-Yee's compatriot, and a very decent player, so good win for Vandenberg.
Frozen ball.
You can see Ko with a little shake of the head, probably still trying to figure out the cue ball. So good with the cue ball, usually seems like he has it on the string. Another countryman of his that can't be overlooked just because he hasn't won this title, J.L. Chang. Seems like he's won everything in the sport. Hasn't had the World Nineball yet.
Like Ko Pin-Yee's been around forever. Made his name at a young age. Won the World Junior 9-ball championship a couple of years in a row. Back in the late 2000s.
Yeah, he's one of a long line of great players to come from Chinese Taipei. As long as I've been playing the game, they've been arguably the best country as a whole. Now, I think Poland, of course, where we're at, has made a huge argument for that. Philippines always an interest. Of course, the good US of A for a long time was one of the strongholds, and still there, I think. Just needs to get a little better.
I think US is in a similar position to Poland, actually. A lot of players who are capable of getting through the early rounds of tournaments, but they're looking for that one guy to break through and join the likes of Van Bonin at the very top table in the game. Ko Pin-Yee was 3-1 down, and a scratch at the start of the previous rack has proved to be a big turning point so far. They're level at 3 apiece.
Rack number 7. Ko Pin-Yee to break. Scores are tied, 3 racks each.
Yeah, Majid, a journeyman, you would say, of our sport, right? I thought he was going to really put something special together at the UK Open this year, though. Qualification, he ran like 8 racks and out against his opponent, something like that. He's going to love the break off. He's going to have to play a safety here, but still nice to be at the table and in control.
Yeah, I mentioned his win in 2015 was part of a wonderful year for him all round. He also won the World 10-ball in the Philippines that year, beat Carlo Biado in a close final. And was part of the winning team in the World Cup of Pool in London with Chang Yong-lin. Beat the England B team of Mark Gray and Darryl Peach. That was a close finish as well.
Looks to edge the blue 2, maybe use the pink. Definitely use the 6-9 as blockers. Unless he gets behind the pink, he's going to leave a pretty routine kick shot for James. Just doesn't want to leave the jump shot here. Oh, that's a beauty there. So it went from a routine kick shot to a not so routine kick shot here on the blue 2 at a level score of 3 apiece. Should be a 1-rail escape, kicking right to the right of the 3. Beautiful hit there. Not so sure he really gave up much of a pocket on the 2 ball. It looks like the 2 may squeeze by the 8. He's going to have to use a little bit of the long rail though to make this ball. The funny thing is you don't really practice that very often, Michael. You always practice trying to hit the center of the pocket. So this is all feel. That was pretty close to the center anyways. Didn't use a lot of the side rail.
Beautifully judged and a chance to regain the lead, which he hasn't had since 1-0. Wu Kunlin, his compatriot, has finally won in what looks like it was an absolute epic of a final rack against Fabio Petroni. So through 9-8 and will now play no less a figure than Francisco Sanchez Ruiz in winners qualification. That will be tonight.
World Pool Championships is a 128-man event, or player, excuse me. But you can still see, even after just a short period of time, it's shaping up to be tougher from the jump than maybe ever before. And I think you're going to see the same thing even in the larger events, which aren't our majors like the US Open, but they're still very major events, right? The 256-man boards, or player boards, excuse me. You're going to see those to where these players aren't going to get, you know, the first round, you know, quote unquote buys to get into the second round, these seeded players.
Yeah, we often see the big names just cruise through the first couple of rounds, but you're absolutely right, that is starting to change, because with more and more of these big field events, more and more of the players in them have become quite experienced at playing in this environment, and that all helps. More opportunity now for players to go full-time or nearly full-time because there are more big earning opportunities.
Yeah, and worldwide, I mean, and that's what Matchroom and Nineball Pool is doing, is bringing them all together worldwide. You can look at 256 player event to where there's nothing soft from the get. It's the most international sport in the world, I would guess.
Well, compared to other cue sports, it's miles ahead of anything else in terms of the spread of countries that you have, not just in the field, but in terms of producing quality players. And yeah, in terms of the international spread of the top players, it's right up there with tennis, which is perhaps the most global of all the individual sports.
And Djokovic winning another Australian Open just a few days ago.
Again, another event where they should just give him the trophy before the off.
It is amazing, that guy. And this guy as well.
Copigny wins the rack.
So he's now won 3 in a row and is back in front at 4-3.
Now, we always say nothing shakes off some mistakes more than getting ball in hand, and that scratch at 3-1. That has turned Copigny around in this match.
So much action going on around the tables. Fabio Petroni, as we said, was involved in that epic finish against Wu Kunlin. And this is the winning 9-ball, the moment of victory. To say, we can't see table 14 from where we are, but it looks like it was a very lengthy final rack. Troney still smiling at the end. We'll have another chance on the loser side. Wu Kun Lin goes through, as we were saying, to play FSR.
Yeah, Fabio, one of the most animated players through the years. We used to all watch him play because you never knew what you were going to get to see. Was the top player from Italy for some time, but now there's been a few more come along.
So 4-3 here. It's also 4-3 in favor of Abdullah Al-Anzi against Karol Skwersky. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because they are playing for the right to meet the winner of this match.
Now look at him. He pulls the cue ball a little in from the corner of the box. You'll see 95 out of 100 players be right at the corner. So definitely something for the speed he's playing to play the one on the side. Even though he's close to it, and he's got a lot of blockers here, this is where you want to get it the most out of the safety. Don't want to just get a simple snooker. This is probably where, again, I kind of put him with Albin, very, very good at percentage plays, kicking at the ball, safeties, whether to pull the jump cue out or not. You just don't want to go overboard on these. And it looks like he can roll the ball in between the 2-ball, in between the 3-7, and come one rail behind the green 6.
Speaking of Albin Ocean, you mentioned there, runner-up last year, champion for the second time the year before. He's level at 1-1 at the moment against Juan Carlos Exposito.
Oh, watch out for Spaniards, I'll tell you that. Inspiration. Two guys they have to follow, David Alcadi and, of course, Ruiz. Not electing to move the 2-ball too much, so he didn't get the safety he really wanted. Did get the snooker, but it's going to be a pretty easy escape, at least hitting the blue 2 for James. And anytime you know you're going to hit it, like James would wager a small amount here that he would hit this blue 2, and you know which route you're going, this is when you start to do a little more with the shot. He's got to curve the ball, but I think he's going to try and just thin it and run the cue ball like that. Try and do as best he can to get separation and really nice speed, laying him on the rail.
Saw the balls potted stat going through there, and Copigny well ahead in that. But it's interesting to look at those stats, but the key thing about Nineball is it's about potting the decisive balls, the big moments, pulling off the ambitious combinations.
Yeah, and the balls potted is a big stat, though, because, you'll have matches with these great guys where they make most of the balls and then occasionally will make the mistake at the end of the rack. But for the most part, when these guys get control, they keep control. Funny little shot here. He's kind of got to glide the cue ball off the right side of the 2, but he can't hit it too thin. Got to come across it a little thick to come behind the pink 4. All right, he's pointing his cue there because he's thinking about banking the 2 across. I don't think it really sits that well to do so. I think that kind of leaves a gap. Caught the 7, which I think helped him. I think if he doesn't catch the 7, he leaves him a little gap between the 6-9 maybe. Hard not to pull the jump cue out here, Michael. He's got to go over a sliver of the 4 and then a full 9-ball. So may catch on top of this 2, kind of with the cue ball in the air.
Foul.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt he jumped right over the edge of that. Okay, on the second bounce.
Ball in hand.
Yeah, you see that? And that's just because he had to carry both balls, right? The 4 and the 9 in there. Had some separation between the two.
Yeah, he was trying to do so much in one shot there.
Yeah, I think if he just had to carry one of those balls, he becomes a favorite to make that 2-ball.
Bit of figuring out to do, but I think it made Copigny favourite here to go 2 clear for the first time in the match.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of work. I mean, you would think position between the 7-9 after he shoots the 3 to attack on the 4 is ideal. But it's not easy. Does he come all the way across here? I would think so. I want to come one rail by the 9. That way, when you shoot the 4, you don't have to really worry about the green 6. Key here is all speed control. I don't think that was intentional by any means to go into the 9. You saw a little shake of the head. The reason that happened is he caught the 3 a little thick to the pocket.
Yeah, seemed to raise his hand in acknowledgement of that. Shane Wolford looks to be moving towards victory. Still needs a couple more racks, but he's 7-3 up on Pia Filler. He could play Eklund Kachi in the next round. Kachi leading 3-2 against Dimitris Lukatos of Greece.
A player that'll fool you, Dimitris. Short of his mark, so he's going to have to make a decision. Not the easiest angle to come across all the way across on, and not the easiest angle to draw underneath the 9 for the 6 in the lower right. Both require a very good strike on the cue ball, good speed control. If it gets a little quick here, this may not get all the way across. A lot of movement. Now, is it enough though, or is it on the back of the 7? A little bump on the 7 there, I think. Okay, tricky little shot if he goes between the 7-9, which is something he excels at. But watch about the middle of the table here. If the cue ball starts to arc a little to our left and then brings the 8 into play. I wouldn't be surprised if he cued this with low left English and went around the 7 and then maybe back at it. And he's going in between. Yeah, you can see he doesn't like it. I would go around the 8 4 rails here with low left English. Around the 7, around the 8. Okay, he played it very light, so it's not going to arc much at that speed. Pretty good play, though.
We said when he came to the table there was some figuring out to do. He's done the hard work now, really. This looks like being 4 in a row. Think back to when Aranas was 3-1 up, fortunate to scratch on the break. The whole contest has really turned around since then. The simplest of 9 balls, Copigny goes 2 ahead for the first time. It's now 5-3. Let's have a look at what's going on over on table 7. Oh no, that's Radoslav Babica. You can't believe he's missed that 9, and by such a long way against Jan van Lierop.
Yeah, Babika, one of the vets for the Polish contingent. Been a great player for a long time. Never really got the big win, or the international one you would consider, but always a threat.
He's not likely to if he keeps missing balls like that, so that one goes back to 3-2. But yeah.
Well, he's the type of player I think that may feel a little more pressure. You know, his event here, you know, doesn't have a ton of them left as far as his career compared to some of the younger Polish players. So.
Rack 9. Coping needs break, leading 5 racks to 3.
One thing James Aranas can feel good about, besides just sitting in his chairs, he really hasn't left on a mistake so much. A little unlucky on that break. So if he does get a chance, positive vibes.
And that's finished nicely.
And for a long distance shot where the 3 lays kind of simplified it, it looks bad for James. Here's rack number 9.
You were talking earlier about what a great year Spain had on the pool scene in 2022. A couple of young players who were part of that going well. Jonas Suter Camino on the hill now at 8-1 against Carl Nadeberg. Juan Carlos Exposito in the early stages as a 2-1 lead for the 2-time world champion Albin Ocean.
Yeah, well, Camino was my pick to have a breakout year, kind of from that part of the depth chart, you might say, in the rankings, or that type of player. I think he's starting to kind of find his own. And it's hard sometimes whenever you have a couple players like David and Ruiz, right, to find what you do a little bit more of rather than what they do. And I think he had a great international, and I think he's going to continue to improve, and you never know.
Now, Cadian Sanchez Ruiz really setting the standards, winning the World Cup last summer in Brentwood, and of course both in the winning Mosconi team just before Christmas.
What about Delgado? He made a nice run there at, what was that, the European Open?
Yeah.
He had a nice opening match as well. I forget who it was today, but it was a tough one, like many matches. Not sure he's teed it off just yet. May have been playing an American, actually.
Yeah, Delgado plays a young American, Joey Tate, who
That's
we
right,
saw make
that's
such an
right,
impact
yeah.
at the US Open.
Now sizing up to 6. Looks like he can play off the 5 pretty simply to take a little longer shot on the 6 to kind of route the cue ball around the 8 to get up on the 7. Of course, you can't overlook anything. 4 1/4 inch pockets, I believe we're playing with. You get a lot more out of that cue ball than maybe desired. We'll see.
This one would have been a much closer contest than the first one we saw on the main table today. 9-3 for Wojciech Szewczyk. Maybe not, the way it's turning now. Opigny closing in on his 5th rack in a row.
A nice clean strike there. He needs a little bounce off the rail, and he got it. What looks bad for Aranas is Coping settling in, and he's made the 1 on the break, I think, every rack. So the thing about it is these guys, they always say you're going to figure out the rack. These guys are going to figure it out. But the problem with it is I don't think it's always going to be like that. Plus, it's all about what kind of shots you're going to get after the break. You can make the 1 in the side, but with a random rack, we're definitely going to always have variety.
So the whole match has turned around so much. Ko Ping-yi in a bit of early trouble, but now closing in on the winning line. He needs 3 more. He leads by 6 racks to 3. He'll play the winner, if he does, of Karol Skwarski and Abdullah Alanzi. That one is level at 5-all at the moment. Chris Melling is 5-3 down against Duan Kwok Hwang. Shane Wolford on the hill at 8-4 against Pia Filler. 6-3 here.
Yeah, that's the problem for this deficit, is the break shot has been pretty on point for Ko, even though a couple early misses that we're not used to. Those have been kind of rectified and forgotten about.
Radoslav Babika looks to have forgotten about his shocking miss at the end of the 5th rack against Jan van Lierop, because he's won the next 2 and is now leading 5-2 in that one.
I think Khalid has just won one of the main tables against the big Italian. The kid gets more impressive every time you see him.
Yeah, that's Khalid Al-Ghamdi of Saudi Arabia, and you're absolutely right, he has beaten Daniele Corriere of Italy 9-6. It's pretty close for a lot of the way, but he got stronger as it went on. He could now play the 2-time champion Alban Ocean in the next round, although Ocean is currently 3-2 down against Juan Carlos Exposito.
Yeah, you can see here not only the angle, a little awkward cueing, trying to simplify the shot on the 3 to see if you can run the cue ball off the 4 easily to the 5. Yeah, you can't decide. Usually the guys will go behind the 5 here, take a little longer bridge, just get a little more sight on the cue stick. Chris Melling's in battle, but I didn't see him as really a favorite in that match. I saw it about a dead heat. That's how great Hwang plays, man from Vietnam. That's got to go a little bit. I don't know. Oh, friendly kiss there.
Yeah, Chris Melling 5-3 down in that match you were referring to. Winner of that likely to play Chang Young Lin.
Looking around, what a great sight for pool. Some of the youngsters coming to watch, getting signatures from even more of the youngsters. Joey Tate and Clid, the 2 youngest players in the event, I would assume.
What's really great is events like this are becoming the norm.
Yeah,
you know, they used
absolutely.
to have maybe 1 or 2 of these events a year if we were lucky, but now we're looking at half a dozen or more of these big field events.
And that's going to continue on growing, just like this lead for Ko Ping-yi.
Yeah, it's going to be half a dozen racks in a row if he can just finish things off here.
And again, James, it's hard to stay positive, but if you think about it, it really hasn't done much wrong to lose these last 5 racks.
Oh yeah,
what looks like 6 racks now.
Yeah.
Kind of a clinic ever since that ball in hand at 3-1, that unlucky scratch.
And a long road back now for the man from the Philippines, if he even gets a chance to do anything about it. It's 7-3 now. Shane Wolford has won. He's beaten Pia Filler 9-4.
Yeah.
They now play Eklund Kachi in the next round. Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh, I was just going to say, big win for anyone traveling from the Derby. That first win, I think, is a big one. Shake a few cobwebs off from all the travel and whatnot. Good look at both our players. James Aranas traveling with Johan Chua, who did win his first match over Abdullah Al-Yusuf.
Just as we're between racks, someone who we haven't even had a chance to mention yet, Alexa Paychels, who made such an impression on us last year, particularly at the UK Open. 6-3 up against Marco Dorenberg, part of what feels like an ever-growing German contingent. And Jonas Suto Camino of Spain, who we were talking about, has come through comfortably. 9-2 against Karl Nadeberg. of Estonia.
Leading 7 racks to 3.
And Oliver Szolnocki, who's done well in this championship the last 2 years, trailing 3-1 in the early stages against the British player Marcel Price.
Yeah, Oliver missed a couple of events last year at the very end of the year, but usually as steady as they come.
Pretty steady here from Ko Pin-Yi. He needs 2 more.
There's that one on the side, a cue ball. See what he elects to do here on this blue 2. It looks a little off angle on the bank, Michael, to hold position. But normally when the guys are faced where they can cue the ball nicely, they'll try and manufacture position on a cross side bank like this, whether it be draw to the rail where he's standing back out. Could cut this ball, I guess, all the way down and go back and forth with the cue ball.
That just backs up what you were saying earlier. It seems he's just getting something off the break every time.
Yeah, he may put the 2 below the 9 and try and track the cue ball 1 rail, just kind of slowly creep it underneath the 3. We can all tell by the tip position. Yeah, high ball, he's going to definitely play safe. Watch the cue ball just slowly go towards the 3, 2 ball below the 9. Yeah, didn't get enough right spin, so he's going to give. Look at this. James hasn't had much love, and now the cue ball directly over the 3, some 9 feet away from the blue 2.
Well, he's spent so much time just in his chair waiting to get to the table in recent racks. Now, one of the rare occasions he does get to the table, this is what he's faced with.
Yeah, this is a professional pool, all ball fouls. Looks like a pretty handy hit here. It's going to leave the gap.
Yeah, didn't get much good fortune with that. Just explain that term, Jeremy, all ball fouls. It's a term you often use, just for anyone who may not be familiar.
It's, you know, any ball moves, whether it be, you know, your hand, your shirt, hair, believe it or not, I've seen that in the ladies' game before. Anything moves, you surrender ball in hand. So right there, while cueing, prior to the shot, as the shot, after the shot, if he touches the 3, gives up ball in hand, and definitely just a clear-cut way to play.
Speaking of all those examples, I saw one of the lady players last week in Leicester. I was at the snooker shootout wearing a real long necklace and thinking that's just asking to commit a foul. And speaking of fouls, perhaps a chance for Aranas to get back into this match now.
Ball in hand.
And it was a ball in hand that made Ko Pin-Yi get started at 3-1 after making a couple early errors. And we'll see if we can treat James Aranas the same. Should probably draw the cue ball up the rail here. Doesn't need to get a perfect angle on the 3 with the 4 and 5 near each other.
7-3, far from an insurmountable deficit, even in a race to 9. But if the turnaround is to happen, I really feel it's got to start here.
Well, you could see him put the cue ball behind the blue 2, and he was thinking about following the ball, and I like that decision most of the time. And I really don't mind it here if he wanted to do that, a little preference. He still end up doing that. Just usually have a little better touch when you're following the cue ball. Oh, he moved the body a little more. And normally, in an all ball foul situation, is, oh, this is going to be too much, maybe a little bit. No, it's okay. Because when you go down on the ball, if you're close to it, like with the shirt or anything, we always just say, just don't move anymore. Don't say, oh, I got 5 inches, I can move a little more, because it'll get the best of you. I've seen that at some big moments as well. One that I remember the most, I think, was Kaji.
The Mosconi. Yeah, that was in the opening team match, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's like a little top right English here to the center of the table.
Aranas' best year was 2019. He topped $50,000 in earnings for the only time in his career. Had a good run at the Derby City Classic Nineball. Was runner-up there, Skylar Woodward. And there's so many people in so many individual sports who were making good progress and then had it all stalled by COVID, and he's definitely one of them because he made a good start then to 2020. Was runner-up to Chang Young Lin at the Las Vegas Open. And that was right in the middle of March, so it was just before everything shut down. And
it was actually the week of. I was there.
Yeah, that was just when everything was really starting to close in on us, I guess.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks of tournaments out there, 2 professional events in a row. And it was the Sunday with a day off to where kind of everything around the world changed. More professional sports got canceled or postponed, and they decided to do the same thing with pool. It was the right decision. Something we'll never forget, that's for sure.
Yeah. If there was ever a time in your life you felt you were living through history, that was it. But he has had some good performances since things started opening up again. To the semi-finals of the International Open, a very big event that you were talking about earlier, at the end of 2021. As we've said, he was in that Asian Open final last year. That was the man who beat him.
Okay, didn't want to get too tricky with this, just kind of like slowly come into position, make sure nothing crazy happens. I put a lot of speed on that. I don't understand this play at all. Why wouldn't he play from the center of the table there, Michael? And you don't usually cross position just to get a little better position. It's pretty surprising. He just, like I said, the center of the table, the 8 cuts easily. You're tracking the cue ball about 1/3 the distance.
Just asking for trouble running into that corner of the table, and boy, has he found it. He really needed to make this chance count.
Well, usually he would be a huge favorite here, but after you make the mistake, you got to kind of wipe away that lapse you just had mentally and make a big shot here to stay in the match. Very surprising.
Well, he's recovered it well and should be okay on the 9.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one, though.
Yeah, the thing is, when you get close to the ball, nice jump shot here. Get close to the ball, you get a little distorted aiming, right? There's not really that space there to gain a nice path for the cue ball. And looks like he's got to kind of draw it as well, maybe past the side pocket.
Yeah, very hard to get the perspective when you're down on the shot. You're so close to it all, you can barely see any distance at all between the cue ball and the 9. So huge moment this. You have to feel if he's to have any chance, he's got to get this.
If he goes with a high ball here, he's got to, if he's going to hit before the side, he may have to put a little left check to avoid the scratch in the upper right. I like drawing like here, slow draw past the side. I think it's a little better way to make the ball.
Well, nicely recovered on the 8 and the 9 after running into unnecessary trouble and after losing 6 in a row. James Aranas has won that one, so he's still battling away, now trailing 7-4. This is Shane Wolford, who we were talking about earlier. 9-4 winner over Pia Filler. I know he was very much in contention for your team last year, Germany, and he's certainly going to be someone this year who will feel, okay, now's the time. I really need to be getting into this Mosconi team.
Yeah, he's going to make some Mosconis. You would think his chances just increase this year. And a nice win. Pia can play.
And Yosuto Camino, comfortable win for him. We were telling you about this earlier. Someone else who, not quite at Wolford's level yet, I wouldn't think, but someone who's going to be looking to really continue his progress in 2023. Some good wins last year. And Khaled Al-Ghamdi, young man we were talking about, this on table 3 against Daniel Corriere. These are his winning moments. Who knows what Al-Ghamdi might achieve over these 12 months. really exciting prospect. And he is through, as we were telling you earlier, to the next round, where he'll play the winner of the match between Albin Ocean and Juan Carlos Exposito. That one is level at 3-all at the moment. Marcel Eckhart doing the racking there, and that's Chris Melling looking on, talking about his struggles, but he has leveled now at 5-all against Tuan Quoc Huang. Back to the main table.
We almost had a carbon copy of rack number 5 where he scratched in the side pocket after a collision with the 9, but he's breaking the balls well. So if he can produce a few shots, the comeback is possible. And you wonder if he's going to attack right here on a cross side bank that definitely offers shape. The safety's awkward. Even if he comes off the left side of the 2, nothing guaranteed.
Mentioned that Chris Melling match. He's actually just gone 6-5 down now. Whoever wins that will probably play Chang Young-lin, who was in the quarterfinals of this event last year, because he's on the hill now at 8-2 against Jonas Kvalsund.
He's elevating, so that says he's probably attacking. I like the level cue to run the cue ball on the bank shot.
Bit of indecision. He knows these are big moments. He stopped the rot now. Still in a position where almost one mistake could be his last.
Yeah, I like him staying aggressive here. He's breaking the balls well. If he can get this down, he could put a few racks together. Oh, he's playing safe. Oh, beautiful touch. He made that look much easier than it was, and I'm still not sure he got the snooker.
Yeah, I think Ko can get through to this.
He can definitely get at the kick shot.
Sure.
Which may be an easier play than trying to play directly at the 2.
Kick shot, again, to explain that terminology.
That's
off the rail.
Yeah, rail first.
Yeah.
So hitting the rail first, coming behind the 2 here with a lot of control. Now, this is where he may get a little advanced with the shot when he kicks it, and try and bring the 2 ball 1 rail underneath the purple and pink. Kind of lays nice to do so. The only problem with that is if you really try to get the most out of it, the speed could get away from you and you could give up a shot. Another ball that could help him is the black 8, just in case he hits the 2 a little off. Cue ball might track towards the black 8 a little bit. Like that. See how it went left a little? And he did try to use the pink. Oh, that's a beauty.
What a reply that is.
Yeah, and that's a pretty nervy shot to make it. Most of the time the guys are trying to get the 2 just to the top rail. Well, there'll be no jump shot here. Though he's snookered. I would like to come 1 rail across this, trying to hit the right side of the 2. Let the 2 come up a little, maybe use the 3 as a snooker. You come 2 rails behind it, it's a long ways away from that second rail and very hard to control. Looks to me about hitting the 3rd diamond maybe before the side pocket, somewhere around there. If you hit up by the side, you probably hit the left side of the 2. Oh, you hit it nice, nice. was by design there, Michael, trying to get the 2 up behind the pink and the purple, and the cue ball behind the 3. Now he's got a dead cross side bank, if there is one. I'm sure he wants to attack. He could just roll this ball and bring the cue ball up on top of the pink 4 and 5, and really 7-4 lead, he probably should do so. It's a dangerous situation in the tournament, in the match, excuse me. That was so easy right there. He's got to take that. And you know how hard it was for him to not bank at that ball? These great players, they want to stay aggressive.
Yeah, it's just really keeping his opponent under pressure and not giving anything away. Sometimes you got to fight your temptations.
Well, there's always, you know, the argument that these guys kick at the ball so great. You don't have to guarantee to get a better shot than he just had. So it takes a lot of discipline.
Hasn't had a lot of good fortune in this match. Needed a bit there and doesn't appear to have had it.
Clean it.
Yeah. Looks like Ko's going to ask for the cue ball to get cleaned. He knows this is the shot of the rack to really probably get on the hill.
No problem.
Got a lot of work still. He's got to have good speed on this going back and forth. You can see an 8-9 combination that's probably got to be played later. That's not easy. It's not hard, but it's anytime you have to play a combo. All right, he wants to stay away from the rail with the cue ball or any awkward cueing like over the 8, over the 7, something like that. The reason why I say that is he shouldn't come past the side with the cue ball and try and get closer to the 3. Such a good manager of the game. Sees he can handle a lot more. The youngest co-brother to tee it off here in a moment. Looks like he's playing a Polish player, I believe, that I do not know.
Thomas Kaplan.
Oh,
yeah.
Is that Thomas Kaplan? I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, be up against Ko Ping Han. Ko Ping Chung already through comfortably earlier today against Michael Gavenciak, 9-1.
Oh, that stroke right there tells me he's gotten a lot more comfortable as this match has grown on than he did to start.
Yeah, he had a really good 2022, really. I mentioned that Asian Open, which will become a major event this year. So winner of that also teamed up with Ko Ping Chung to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup of Pool. A couple of hill finishes against Greece and the Netherlands, and then lost to the eventual winner Spain in the semis. Had earlier beaten Argentina in the first round. Semi-finals of the World Masters, lost to the eventual winner of that, Joshua Filler. And last 16 of this World Championship in Milton Keynes last April pushed the eventual champion of that event pretty hard before going down 11-8 to Shane van Woning.
And really, I thought kind of carried him and his brother to that semifinal in the World Cup. At that time, Ko Ping Chung was really struggling, I thought, and I saw it in some other events. Of course, he turned it around later to become a semifinalist in the US Open. You can't see these guys struggling for very long. It happens to all of us.
Ko Ping Yi.
So Ko Ping Yi very much in control here. Aranas had his chance to continue the revival, but Ko Ping Yi will be breaking on the hill. It's 8-4. Ko Ping Yi 3-1 down in this match, turned it round to lead 7-3. Aranas threatened a bit of a revival, but crucially Ko Ping Yi managed to come through that 12th rack, and that's why he is now breaking on the hill.
Looks like James is going to get to make a decision how he wants to stay in this match with a rollout coming.
Push out call.
That's a telling stat, isn't it? Aranas hasn't managed to run out from the break at any point in this match. Copigny, particularly in the middle of the contest, had a nice run of those.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the winter break format. You can make up for some early mistakes, which we saw from Copigny, but I think he's made the one in the side pretty much every break off.
Not easy to have that many break-and runs with these new breaking rules. It's impressive.
Well, you first have to produce a shot, and then you have to maintain through each rack. So with these pockets, it doesn't take much. Not only to get out of line to miss a ball, but to get out of line to where you won't shoot at a ball. You know, where you'll play the safety, respecting your opponent, the tournament, and the table.
Looks increasingly likely that the winner of this will play Karol Skaversky, because he's on the hill at 8-5 against Abdullah Alanzi. Chris Melling has turned things around, but still got work to do. 7-6 in front against Duan Kwa Kwang.
You think about the Ko brothers in our sport. I mean, other sports are similar, I would guess, especially individual sports. But you always think about, you know, finding that great player to, you know, have on your wing, teach you some things, run around with, whatever it may be. But their entire household, right? They get to compete and learn from each other all the time. It's got to be something special and probably a pretty good bonus if you're one of the Ko brothers.
Well, that would be advantageous if you just had one of your brothers traveling with you like that. But the fact that there are three of them, what a unit they form.
Well, look at this. This is, he can see the two, but he's looking for a kick and stick. He wants to stop the cue ball. Oh, cut it just a little bit. I think he's going to get a nice roll, though. Well, decent roll.
The winner's coming thick and fast. Chang Young-Lin has now finished it off at 9-2 against Jonas Kvalsund. And Alexa Pechelge has also finished it off comfortably over Marco Dorenberg, 9-3. Pechelge, a quarter-finalist at the UK Open in London last May. Ben Ocean, runner-up last year, two-time world champion, trailing 5-4 against Juan Carlos Exposito. When he went behind early on, I think the feeling was he'll turn it around, but hasn't managed to yet.
Well, this is going to hurt a little bit, not getting that safety. It's one thing to leap distance, but with so many blockers, you got to figure James isn't going to like the outcome here once he gets back to the table. But Alex Laley and I talked about Albin, very unique, and I wouldn't say totally unique, but unique in the way how many wins he has, because he starts a lot of tournaments shaky, or you know, shaky for himself anyways, right?
Nearly every tournament.
Exactly, yeah. But then he just gets better and better and better as it goes. And, of course, all the greats do, but it's almost like it's kind of eerie how it happens to him so much. That's got to go a little bit. He's going to, oh, okay, it's spun nicely into position. And look what else he did with that shot, Michael. You opened up the red 3 by bumping the pink 4. Side spin there. I'll tell you, I think he can get by the 9 for the one rail kick. Yeah, he's got to go this direction here. You can't surrender ball in hand trying to make some type of special kick shot here. It's your match life. Just most likely surrendering that shot will give up the match, but James has got to hang his head high if he goes on to lose here. Just knowing he really hasn't played a poor match at all. Just Ko kind of took it by the reins.
Yeah, and there's been times just like that there where he's been looking for a little bit of luck for the balls to run nicely for him, and he hasn't had it at any point. You even think back to that big moment at 3-1 when he was unlucky really to scratch and started a run of losing 6 racks in a row. Gerson Martinez of Peru has beaten Mika Immonen in a hill-hill finish, 9-8.
I don't think Gerson can't play. He took down some tournaments in the States. There's a couple of them in Texas that had some really, really strong fields.
Could now play Oliver Szolnocki, who's done well in this event the last couple of years. He's turned things around after a shaky start to lead Marcel Price 4-3.
It's interesting the way he played that ball. With drawing the ball is the only way he could really get in trouble. I thought he would run the ball, you know, to the top of the 7 there. Extension here, stretching over the purple 5. He's just draw the cue ball back where his hand's at. That would be a good spot.
I'm always a believer you can't tell much from early round performances, but you can tell a bit, and the indications overall have been really good here from Ko Pin-Yi.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially one thing that, you know, not everyone recognizes is but making a mistake and shaking him off. He made 2 big mistakes. He missed a 2-ball, maybe a suspect decision when he played it off the 8. And then he missed, I believe it was another 2-ball in the corner by some mark. He's just going to cheat it a little bit here, not trying to move the cue ball a ton. He's got to work a bit more. The 7 did pass the 8. Didn't have to move the cue ball that much for the side, but Roy plays this with low right English, maybe running out of the corner like this.
Ko Pin-Yi has won this World Championship before. The evidence of this, every reason to think he might just win it again this year. He was 3-1 down early on. He then won 6 in a row.